Yeah, thank you, Andrew, for that great introduction. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. For those of you who remember me, I was the first vice chairman. It was about 7 years ago when I stepped back from leadership with Tyrone Jones being the chairman, and I started my beautiful family over here. That's why I took a step back for a little bit. And I get asked a lot why I'm running for council in Peachtree City, and I brought my why with me. It's over here. It's Whitney, my wife, Julian, my son, and my younger son, William. Will you stand up real quick, guys? I want Peachtree City to be a great place for them, and for your families too. And when Whitney and I were starting our family, we chose Peachtree City because of the quality of life that Peachtree City provides us. It's safe, there's good schools, there's great amenities. And I want to make sure that we preserve that in the future. And so I have a few goals that I want to commit to you and to the citizens of Peachtree City. For the first thing I want to do is restrict high density housing. That's definitely a problem that's creeping into Peachtree City. We want to reduce the budget and cut taxes. That's another high priority item. We want to alleviate traffic, especially at the 5474 intersection. That's a big issue, and I know that's high on people's priority list. We're going to make government more open and transparent. That's becoming an issue in Peachtree City too, and I'll touch more on each of these in just a second. And then, last, we want to make sure that we're not rezoning our industrial property into residential property, and we're not annexing more residential property into Peachtree City. Those are issues that take down our tax base and cause other issues with overcrowding and things like that. So first on the issue of restricting high-density housing, for the last decade and a half, Peachtree City has the mayors of Peachtree City have had an agenda of trying to increase high-density housing. It was known as the Livable Centers Initiative for a while, which luckily the people of Peachtree City stood up to that initiative and shut it down. It then morphed into Plan for Peachtree City, which was essentially a political action committee that wanted to bring apartments and affordable housing to Peachtree City. And now in 2022, we just under the Mayor Lerner, we just revised the entire comprehensive zoning plan for Peachtree City to allow for unchecked multi-use development, which essentially is where you have commercial on the bottom and then stacked condos or apartments on top of that. And that's something that doesn't fit the village's concept of Peachtree City. And I want my website is PTC Back on Track. We got to get back on track to where we came from the village's concept that made Peachtree City the great place that it is where we live now. And if we continue down this path of urbanization and high-density housing, all those quality of life features that we move there for, that we live there for, are going to be taken from us. The high-density housing brings a lot of issues. It brings overcrowding. It adds to traffic. It brings crime. Crime in Peachtree City increased, violent crime in Peachtree City. So that's battery, assault, murder. Those things increased by 50% from 2021 to 2023 in Peachtree City. And it's a direct result of this reckless overdevelopment through high-density housing. So we need to put an absolute restriction on that to make sure that our quality of life in Peachtree City is maintained. Next, I want to reduce the budget and cut taxes. Our budget in Peachtree City has been bloated and overspent. It's increased significantly. It's doubled in the last 20 years, while our population has only increased by 6,000 people. And I don't think that that's acceptable. As elected officials, we are stewards of your money, of your tax money. Over the last 4 years, the average property tax bill in Peachtree City has increased almost $2,000. They did not roll back the millage rate one time in that 4-year period until this last year. They did a 0.06 millage rate rollback. For anybody who knows anything about property taxes, I've appealed hundreds of property taxes as part of what I do. A 0.06 millage rate rollback equates to approximately $30. So while they increased your taxes for over almost $2,000 over the last 4 years, they gave you a $30 refund. And so the mayor is going to tout that as an accomplishment. She is going to say, generally, I have reduced your taxes, when in reality, your taxes have ballooned significantly. And over the last 4 years under Mayor Lerner, we've had 4 separate city managers. That's not the kind of consistency you want in somebody who's helping set the budget for your city. And our city manager, it was, in an open meeting in the last couple months, said that every tax dollar we bring in, we need to spend. That's not the kind of fiscal responsibility that we need in our leadership in Peachtree City. And I'm going to stand up to that. We're going to start reducing the budget. The mayor recently announced that all city employees are getting raises. They're getting higher benefits. And she said, and we're not raising your taxes one bit. Well, that's not true, because like I just said, your property taxes have gone up significantly under her tenure. Next, we're going to work to alleviate traffic. This is a very difficult problem. It's difficult for 2 main reasons. The first reason is that the traffic problem is partly because of unsound planning in the past, and it's tough to undo unsound planning. West Peachtree City, the commercial corridor there where the overlook has been built, where Chick-fil-A and Michael's and all that, and then the almost 800 home subdivision on McDuff Parkway are just pouring traffic down onto 54. That's where a lot of our problems are coming from. The planning, that property, and I'm going to touch on the rezoning aspect, that property that is that 800 home subdivision was slated for industrial property, where it was going to bring in corporate headquarters, manufacturing, things like that, things that are good for the tax base of Peachtree City. But instead, under our mayor and the previous council, they had voted to rezone that to high-density residential. And that's part of the problem that we're facing in Peachtree City. It's adding to our traffic. Getting close, Andrew? And right now we have 54 and 74 under construction. And it's a $10 to $20 million project. The problem is those are state highways. They're funded by the state legislature. They're controlled by the Georgia Department of Transportation. But with good leadership in Peachtree City, we can work with those state leaders to come up with a more viable solution. The current solution, that when the engineer from GDOT was asked about what how much traffic would be alleviated by this new construction that's going on at the intersection, he said that the intersection is currently graded as an F. And I think we can all agree on that. And he said that when this $20 million project is done, the grade will be an E. And I went to school for a while and I never got any E's, but I don't think that's satisfactory, okay? And so here we are wasting $20 million and it's not even going to fix the problem. And so, these things frustrate me, and that's why I'm running. I could go longer, but if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Yes?
Yeah, 5474. I don't think it's necessarily, because I live right off McDuff, but seeing the cars coming in from Noonan.
Yeah.
And then they either come in from Noonan or they're going to Noonan.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Absolutely. That's definitely part of the problem. And if you go back a few mayoral administrations, they wanted to extend TDK across Peachtree City. And the mayor at the time, Steve Brown, was absolutely opposed to that. And the people of Peachtree City came together and said, no, we're not going to do an extension. And the reason is because Coweta County had plans to develop thousands of homes on the other side of the lake in Coweta County with millions of square feet of commercial property. Now they're doing exactly that over at Fisher Road with the commercial development. They just greenlit and broke ground on a almost 1,000 unit multifamily housing development over there. And if we don't, we don't control Coweta County, but that's if we don't fix the intersection itself and work on that, we can't control that, and we have to work with what we have. And it's going to be a continuing problem, but we have to think globally about it, think regionally about how we can alleviate our traffic problem at 54 and 74. So, yes.
You made a comment about high density apartments. I came to Atlanta in 1966 as a teacher. So from the 60s to 1984, when I married and came to Fayette, I always lived in an apartment, and it was always safe. So what happened?
Yeah, so if you look at, like I mentioned, violent crime went up 50% from 21 to 2023. If you look at the heat map of where the crime's occurring, it's occurring in the high density housing areas. And the why is that's a more difficult question. Why is that happening? What we know is that it is happening, and because it is happening, we got to work to alleviate those problems. So, but that's definitely something we have to work on. Thank you.